A popular Ghanaian writer, Ernest Ayemang Yeboah, says, and I quote, "The real beauty of life is in orderliness. Orderliness has been identified as critical to the workings of functional societies and aids social, political, and economic stability. It is the reason why some societies are preferred to others. Apart from orderliness within systems of governance, orderliness as a habit in the everyday activity of citizens is critical to the sustenance of stable societies, and the attainment is the collective responsibility of all. The media, through public service announcements and paid jingles over the years, have impressed the need to be orderly in all we do. More still is formal education and religious teachings that have over the years also cultured people on order from childhood. It is, however, surprising to see some people misbehave, even the educated, when their sense of order is in demand. A clear case here are the various incidences of mishap in the palliative sharing across the country. This edition of Dateline360 will be looking at the need to embrace orderliness as a personal and collective culture. I'm Omotola Mojola. Thanks for joining us. Studies have proven that no society can develop in the absence of orderliness. It is perhaps in this wise that democratically developed countries consciously institute orderliness as a culture among citizens, despite deliberate efforts by governments and other stakeholders to sustain a functional society. The recent mishaps recorded during palliative distributions in some parts of the country is a pointer to the fact that more needs to be done. Kenneth Nanim opens the program with a look at some prevailing factors in order to identify the missing link.
Experts in sociology posit that no human society can achieve sustainable development in a state of rancour and anarchy. This conviction has propelled successive governments in Nigeria to introduce different orientation programs to maintain peace and order in the society. For instance, the regime of General Muhammadu Buhari of 1984 introduced war against indiscipline, while mass mobilization for social justice and economic recovery program known as MAMSA was a brainchild of General Babangida's administration in 1987. Meanwhile, the Establishment Act of 1993 brought about the National Orientation Agency. These programs seem to have one thing in common, that is, to instill discipline and patriotism in the citizens for a better society.
Where people think that they can escape justice, they can escape punishment, then there's no incentive to adhere to the rules. In National Orientation Agency, we have the responsibility for advocacy, advocating that the whole of society benefits if we are all orderly, that society becomes more organized, and that we owe a duty of care to the next person by being orderly, maintaining our positions and allowing others to maintain theirs, and then go orderly so that things move smoothly.
With all of these programs in place at different times in the country's evolution, supported by various public enlightenment campaigns on behavioral change, propagated through the media,
good people, great nation.
Many Nigerians still disobey constituted authority and civic laws, as some road users beat traffic, others engage in all forms of economic sabotage, environmental degradation, bribery and corruption, amongst other societal ills.
At times when things are not going well with people, out of that anger they behave irrationally. At times some of the things that on a normal circumstance they are not supposed to do, they find themselves doing it.
Some say the unfortunate incident that happened recently, where some citizens lost their lives during palliative distribution in some parts of the country, is an indication that the country still has some distance to cover in its journey towards instinctive orderliness and the queue culture.
Government is trying to distribute palliatives and people are stampeding and people are getting killed. Some are breaking into warehouses, and all of that. Showing that the challenge of disorderliness is still with us.
The question is, why is it difficult for some citizens to conduct themselves in an orderly manner when the need arises.
If a thief in Nigeria will get to London and you see him behave like a priest, what's the difference? There's no police there to police their action or movement, but because the environment, they know that they are being checked. They know that they are being monitored. Everybody behave. But
when we say government stands for you and I. Government is human beings that are in charge. In any office, for instance, you are working with NTA, government in that place starts with you. Your boss cannot do it alone without your support.
The need to return to collective parenting in a responsible manner that upholds the societal norms and values, some say, is imperative.
I have seen one woman that told me, my son is a Yahoo boy. I said, you are telling me your son, that's stealing. He's stealing somebody's money. You're saying, just like a thief in the street. You can't be proud of such.
For others, schools and the religious institutions must prioritize patriotic and orderly behavior in their communication to achieve positive behavioral change in society.
Preservation of cultural heritage that defines a behavioral pattern that is generally accepted by the society, many believe will go a long way in placing the value and orderliness required in building a functional society. Kenneth Nani reporting for Dateline360.
Indeed, the incentive to adhering to rules is commensurate punishment for breaking such rules. Thanks, Kenneth, for your perspective. Lagos exemplifies orderliness in spite of its huge population, but this has often been put to test. Some experts in governance and social commentators in Lagos say patience as a virtue could be difficult to sustain when it comes to palliative issues, and suggest the adoption of national identification system for distribution purposes. Michael Olaleye reports that placing premium on sensitization, they say, will preserve the culture of orderliness, particularly during civil engagements.
Lagos is not just the most preferred destination for businesses in Nigeria, but also a dreamland for many individuals ambitious to tap from the numerous opportunities the megacity has to offer. Records show that, on the average, about 123,000 people migrate to the city every day, giving credence to why the population of cosmopolitan Lagos is around 20 million. It is a geometric progression that comes with the burden of both sides of a coin, but the ability of the state government to effectively manage transportation system and traffic still continues to be a point of reference. Experts say this perceived sense of orderliness defied the hypothetical assumption that huge population creates chaos. But the scenario that played out at the sales of 25 kilograms of rice for 10,000 naira some weeks ago, which resulted in stampede, beats one's imagination.
I think there is usually a mass hysteria around the distribution of palliatives and the collection of these palliatives because people feel that they will be edged out of the process because they probably may not belong to a particular political group or cleavage that is saddled with the responsibility of distributing them.
It was a case of good deeds turned sour because the intention is to complement the federal government's efforts in checking scarcity and rising prices of food items, and the Nigeria Customs Service adopted a system which ordinarily should have worked.
We consider so many. Some suggested let's use passports. Only very few people have passports. It's elitist. Some suggested ID card. We are not in a position to verify the validity of ID card. Some suggested so many things, and we felt that any Nigerian from the remotest village can have access to NIE. And this is one way in which we think we can promote data governance in Nigeria.
Experts say it is time to put the various national identification mechanisms into use by capitalizing more on the adoption of technology to deliver palliatives.
They should take advantage of technology
by creating an online platform where people can register. So when they register with the correct email and telephone number, after the registration, government will say for Monday, between 10 and 12, 50 people. So 50 people will be sent text message to them or email to them. Come between 10 and 12.
Considering the trend in the ugly scenario of either looting palliatives, attacking and destroying trolls conveying the items, or disrupting the process of distribution, stakeholders say there is need to intensify campaigns on orderliness during civil engagements.
It's not just looking at everything, the president, the governor, the senator. How about you in your own little space? Have you done the right thing? That is the question. If we are going to get a better Nigeria, it has to be bottom-up approach. And then we have agency of government, like the National Orientation Agency, that should be up and alive to their responsibilities. So that we'll begin to do it, jingles, messages, admonitions in our local languages, so that you see, if we are orderly, in fact, things move faster in the final analysis.
What we need to demand from our leaders is to lead by the proper and appropriate examples. And you will see that these problems of disorderliness will be reduced if leaders themselves will join the queue, if leaders themselves will make their wives join the queue, or their husbands join the queue, or the children or words join the queue. Others will borrow a leaf from that and live according to the examples that have been laid down by their leaders.
Key players also emphasized the importance of sincerity, openness, and transparency during distribution as a way of winning the trust of the public and instilling patience and belief in them. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye for Dateline360.
Another good day turned sour is the unfortunate incident in Bauchi, where lives were lost when some vulnerable members of society were hoping to benefit from alms given, which is known as zakat in Islam. Muazu Hassan has an overview of the situation for Dateline360.
This is where the unfortunate incident of stampede led to the deaths of so many people, including women and children, in the course of collecting the zakat by one businessman in Bauchi.
It was at about 10:20 a.m. that the story of the Sunday stampede has started circulation. The eyewitnesses, Nigeria police force, and various news platforms have confirmed that the stampede was as a result of the capacity of people beyond imagination for the distribution.
These are the number of people that died on the stampede, and that have been confirmed by medical doctors. As of the time filling that report, we have 4, but presently we have 7 with their names and their address.
There is artificial scarcity of whatever, foodstuff, money, and everything in the communities. So if somebody will say, yes, I will give something free of charge to people now, you will see people dropping. And unfortunately, people are not patient enough. They go, everybody will use his own force and whatever to see that he got what he wants.
A 16-year-old Maryam Shuaibu and Aisha Usman of 13-year-old, then Aisha Bello and her 9-year-old daughter Ilham were among those that have lost their life during the zakat distribution exercise. But the question is, what went wrong that led to the unfortunate incident?
Whenever such thing is going to take place, advisably the security organizations should be properly engaged. Even the private security organizations should be involved in this type of distribution in order to bring sanity and security in distribution the zakat, because the number of people attended is many, and people are facing some difficulties. That is why they come from everywhere, come and receive the zakat in order to sustain their life.
First to invite us, we go there and giving proper protection
to the life and property of the people.
The impatient attitude of people, non-provision of strong security measures to control the crowds, and the process of centralizing the distribution were the major issues identified to be the root causes of the stampede.
People should be controlling their wives, their sons and daughters, that whenever such things happen, they will not troop in millions, because whenever there is such a gathering, I know something of that nature will definitely happen. And our ulamas will call the attention of the well-to-do and the masses at the same time that such things should not be happening, and whenever it happens, that please, people should make a very good queue. If it needs the attention of security personnel, that such should happen.
But something similar to this happened to him. He should consider that it's the will of God. It's not somebody that make it all.
5,000, 10,000 is just a gift. A committee should be set for giving arms through village heads.
It is hoped that what happens will serve as a lesson whenever there is distribution of this nature, that the orderliness will be maintained to safeguard lives of people in the process. I am Wazo Hassan reporting for Dateline360.
The academia stands as a symbol of order, raising the elite population of society, and the products are seen as worthy of their nurturing, both in character and learning. It was therefore shocking and heartbreaking that Nigeria had to lose promising undergraduates at a state university when the school authority shared palliatives to students. Next, Blessing Damfulani looks at the Nasarawa State incident and why students and society alike should embrace orderliness.
The recent move by Nasarawa State government to distribute 10 kg bag of rice and 5,000 naira each to students of tertiary academic institutions in the state went successfully. However, the incident in Nasarawa State University, Kefi, was dented by stampede, which led to the death of some students.
There was stampede. So many of the students got injured. 2 students lost their lives.
The love I have for this university, I wanted it to be the best. We needed the last for the best. At early as 4:30, I started receiving information that some of the students were coming to the gates because there was a problem. There were change of names, there were this and that, and I knew there was a problem there. And for people who didn't know what happened, there was enough security, more security here than even what we had somewhere. 15 soldiers were brought. The chief security officer of the institution was involved, the SUG president was involved, and the management of the SUG. And of course, there were a lot of civil defense officers who were all involved. But because of the huge number of students, they overpowered them, and that's what led to what happened.
What could have led to the tragedy? Could it have been averted as it was seamlessly carried out in other institutions?
When the rice was brought to the school, it would have been better if they distributed the rice like a certain amount to the faculties, so it would have been easier.
I feel like the security that was provided was not enough. I feel like if we had enough security, students would have respected themselves.
Each representative should have been called upon to come and represent his level, and as such, the distribution would have been successful and peacefully.
Our students were not patient enough to follow the process of accessing this palliative.
Not being patient is an element of disorderliness. Abubakar Sadiq Abdullahi is a counselor. He speaks on nurturing children from early stages.
Orderliness is part of the discipline. It's part of discipline. Orderliness is part of how one will calm himself in terms of collecting things, in terms of entering into the class, in terms even in the market. Orderliness is very important.
Parents should be instrumental in shaping their children's ethical foundation, such as orderliness, honesty, empathy, and integrity. How far have they carried out these tasks?
I grew up in a family where we have rules in our own family. My mom, we take everything according to seniority of the house. That brother will pick first, then followed by the second person before it will come to my own turn. So I think I'm still relating the same stuff to my younger ones.
Orderliness will help a child, will help the child grow well and do well in the society.
The importance of orderliness, decorum and etiquette cannot be overemphasized. No wonder schools, while issuing certificates, place more emphasis on character than learning, stating clearly that the student is found worthy in character first before learning. As such, teachers, parents and religious leaders should intensify more efforts in inculcating orderliness in students for the betterment of the country. From Kefi, Blessing and Fulani.
Unlike some states where palliative distribution became matter of public concern, no thanks to impatience among other chaotic features, Gombe State palliative distribution has been noted to be orderly. Abbas Mekano now brings us some of the modalities applied by the state government in the distribution process.
Public orderliness describes the general conditions that must exist in every community so that individuals can enjoy their right to safety and freedom. In an ideal situation, states are responsible for defending public safety in all circumstances by taking measures to ensure public order. However, behavioral conduct of members of the society contributes towards ensuring orderliness or otherwise, especially during an event that consists of unprecedented crowd of people.
You have to control yourself, and that is what we call behavior modification. Wherever we are, it starts from the home, it begins from home. Our parents should be giving the people and the children orientation on how to be orderly. Wherever you are going, you see your seniors, you don't just jump like this. You do things the way they will say, Kai, this person is having a very good background. You know that one counts. They will say your school also have good background. If you are not well trained, they will say, if you see, look at this type of, it's from their home. And so because we don't want our parent to be abused or our government to be abused, we have to be orderly.
Here in Gombe, palliative distribution to the poor and vulnerable members of the society has been reoccurring since 2020 during COVID-19 total lockdown with hundreds of thousands of beneficiaries.
In Gombe State, we started this palliative initiative immediately when the COVID pandemic came in. So we started this as far back as 2020-2021. Well, between that time and now, the last one we did last week, that was the 17th edition. So we've done that 17 times, and it has always been improving. After each initiative, we keep improving. We see the loopholes, we see the gaps, we improve in the next one.
Measures such as proper planning and coordination, as well as stakeholders' engagement, are some of the factors responsible for the successful distribution of such palliatives without danger to lives in the process, despite the large number of beneficiaries.
It is the grace of God Almighty. Secondly, the leadership and proactive measures being taken by His Excellency the Governor in how we go about this thing. We do a lot of logistics planning before we go into the field to do these things. We put adequate security measures, and the security agencies are brought in, and we also use the traditional rulers, civil society organizations, and all other critical stakeholders. We all come together and discuss on measures on how to curtail all these things, secure these items, and ensure when these items are being moved from the central stores to the local governments, adequate security is being provided up to the point that the beneficiaries pick up their items.
The advantage is that there will be no security risk, there will be no destruction, there will be no killing, there will be no infection. Because if they are not orderly, organized, a lot of things will happen. And that is why in everything you do, you have to organize them, we have to teach them, we have to give them orientation. Anything that involves population, you don't just do it like this.
A famous Scottish economist and philosopher, Adam Smith, often says, and I quote, Uninstructed and intelligent people are always more decent and orderly than an ignorant and stupid one. Abbas Mekano, reporting for Dateline360.
Thank you, Abbas, for that piece. Proper consultation and alignment of critical partners in the distribution of palliatives and indeed in everything we do will likely turn out positively most of the time. Every life matters. We appeal that going forward, all avenues possible to ensure orderliness be explored in all that we do and consideration given to people by demographic profiling. I'm Omotola Omojola. Thanks for being there. God bless Nigeria.